Welcome to the second lesson in our A1 Biology tutorial series on how to write a relevant answer. Okay, get this. The number one reason why students lose marks in open-ended questions is because their answer lacks relevance. Okay, so if you get this right, imagine how many marks you could save. You see, when you write irrelevant answers, right, this is what happens. You lose marks because whatever you're writing will be ignored by the marker, and you just wasted time that could have been spent on other questions and actually scoring marks. So instead of like hitting two birds with one stone, it's like hitting yourself twice with one rock, right? And on the other hand, a relevant answer directly answers the question and only talks about points which are important in answering the question. So how do you write a relevant answer and avoid this number one mistake that causes you to lose marks in OEQs? So here's how. Number one, follow the command word. So we have state. Okay, this is the easiest. Just put down a short and to the point answer. No point writing a very long answer for state questions. Then we have describe. So it means you need to give details of something. If it is a data response question, give details of the data by describing the relationship or trend by quoting the data and using descriptive words for the trend, such as steeply, gradually. But if it is a process that they want you to describe, then describe that process and don't miss out on the details. Okay, so describe is always about details. And then explain means that you need to give reasons for something happening. The reasons have to be inferred and cannot be directly found in the question. And if it's a suggest why, it's basically the same as an explain question and also is asking for a reason. Number two, answer all aspects of the question. Okay, there can be more than one question within a question. Yes, you heard that right. Let me show you some examples. So describe and explain the shape of the graph. Or another one, explain why the water plant has a less rigid stem than the land plant and suggest the importance of this difference. So you see how both of these have like two parts to the question that you have to answer both parts of it. Watch out for the word and because it usually signals that there is more than one aspect to a question that you must answer. Number three, write with an and in mind. It's a very useful strategy for application type questions. So an example is, explain how turning on the fan would cause a houseplant to lose more water. So the starting point is by turning on the fan, then blah blah blah, you will explain. And the end will be, hence the plant loses more water. Okay, so by mapping out like that and having an end in mind before you even start writing, makes your answer a lot more structured and gives you direction. And it's so much easier now, we just need to fill in the middle with our content knowledge. And number four is to trim the fat. So remove those points or phrases which are related, yes, but unimportant to the answer. So for example, in the question we just saw, a possible unimportant but related point could be like this. Okay, so the part in red, it is something that you might be tempted to write if you were doing this question. But if you look at it closely, all it is, right, is just defining transpiration rate. And do we need this necessarily to get to the end of the answer? The answer is no. Okay, so yes, it's related, but it's not crucial, it's not important. Okay, so these kind of things also, you can get rid of them. Another thing about trimming the fat, right, is to avoid giving background stories to the marker. So using the same example, a background story that you might be tempted to give is to talk about how water moves from the xylem all the way until it diffuses out of the stomata. Okay, so you might be tempted to give this kind of thing, but we do not need to give such a long background story before going straight into the answer. Lastly, make sure to keep every point relevant. Sometimes we do a good job of keeping the answer mostly relevant, but then to feel safe we add an extra point or two to kind of beef up our answer. But if those points are not relevant, then it's really just a waste of your time. That's why when you write, every point you have to check if it directly answers the question. So does that mean that you have to keep looking back to the question to check? Yes, okay, that's how to ensure your answer is on track and not spiraling off to another planet. Okay, I want you to leave with you this golden rule to scoring well in OEQs. So if you only remember one thing from this video, then I want you to remember this. And that is, your answers should be saturated with keywords. What does that mean? It means I want you to spam keywords. Yes, spam keywords relevant to the question, okay, to the topic, while reducing all the other words as much as possible. So this thinking, this mindset keeps your answer full of potential marking points because markers are always looking out for keywords to award the marks. And at the same time, it reduces all the unnecessary writing that would otherwise be wasting your time. Okay, in the video description, you'll find the resources for this video, which is a summary of the key points that I've mentioned in this video for you to quickly refer to. And here are the action items. Make notes of the main points of this video and put it in your bio notes. Try out what you've learned on a few questions, especially application questions. So that's all for this lesson. Go ahead and apply what you've learned and let me know how it goes.